Like it says very clearly, Ve'asu mikdash. I'm sorry. The Rambam says the reason for the Beis Hamikdash is muchan liyas makrivim be'karbanis. The Ramban holds that the reason why we have the Beis Hamikdash is for Ashras Hashchina. So the difference between the two is if we're going to put the Iker Avodah of the Karbanis, and that is the opinion of the Rambam, and according to the Ramban, the Iker Avodah is that the Shechina should be Sharui in the Beis Hamikdash. So, if we are now going to try to understand these two, the question will come up, what's with the Aron? The Aron, where the Luchas and the Shivra Luchas, depending on which Beis Hamikdash it was, were, these Luchas, which were in the Aron, where does it go under? Does it go under the building, or is it a mitzvah b'fnei atzmei? So according to the Rambam, that he wants to hold, that the Iker is the makrivim of the karbanis, the Aron is a chelik of the building, and it's one mitzvah with the building of the whole Beis Hamikdash. The Ramban, that he holds that the whole mitzvah is to bring the Shechina into the Beis Hamikdash, so the Aron, which is the Iker Shechina, like it says in Sof Tanya, Perek Nun Gimel, that over there is the Iker Ashras Hashchina because of the Aron, so the Ramban will learn that the mitzvah of the building of the Aron is a mitzvah b'fnei atzmei. Now that we see the two main points of the binyan, whether it's the karbanis, whether it's to bring the Ashras Hashchina, whether we go according to the Rambam, that it's going to be that we should bring karbanis, and the Ramban, that he says Ashras Hashchina, these two, now let's try to bring it into the Avodas, in the Chassidische Taich in Avodas Hashem. So we know that the Moyach is Ashras Hashchina for the Neshama, and the Lev is the Avodah of Karbanis, Adam ki akriv mikem, the Avodah of working with yourself. So Chassidus doesn't separate the Ashras Hashchina and the Karbanis. Chassidus brings it both together. Chassidus tells us that the whole inyan v'osu l'mikdash v'shchanti b'sechem b'sech kol echad ve'echad is the inyan of the Ashras Hashchina in Mayach, and from the Mayach shalit al lev, and from the lev liba palig l'chol gatin, that goes from to the whole body, and then to the levushim of machshava dibur ma'aseh, and the avodah b'chol yom in zman, in every minute v'chu. And lev is the avodas of karbanos, to take your nefesh habahamis and be makriv lashem. Now there's beautiful taichin that I remember hearing from my shver by Fabrengen on the words ve'asu mikdash. He used to say like this. They used to taich in Lubavitch, and he used to taich like this. Ve'asu maise bepoil. When you do a maise ve'asu li mikdash. Das is heilig. Das is the heiligste Sache. In andere Werte, what is the most important thing in life? Maise hu ha'ikar. You're going to do it like every Fabrengen, at the end of a Fabrengen. What is the bechein? What are you going to come out of it? Or somebody's going to do, let's do this mifzah, let's go mifzah, let's do this, let's do, we're going to do. No, maise bepoil. When you do it, ve'osu li mikdash. That's the ein chassidische taich in the pasuk. Another taich, ve'osu, when you do it li, for the Eibishter. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for self-gratification. Don't do it for gaiva. Don't do it for whatever ulterior motives that you could have. If you do it, ve'osu, it has to be li, for me. Now there's another Indian that I wanted to connect with a story that when we say that in Avodah, it's the union of Lev, so Avodah is Meloshin Ibud Eiris, it's a very difficult Avodah. So there's a beautiful Maaseh from the Gemara, and also a Maaseh, if we have time, there's a Maaseh from the Gemara that Rabbi Akiva, when he was married to his wife, to Rachel, so it says the first beginning when they got married, the father, the Shver, was very angry that Rabbi Akiva, that his daughter married Rabbi Akiva, so they were living on their own, and he had no parnasa. So it says in the Gemara that Rabbi Akiva traveled very far that he should try to find parnasa for his wife. And when he left, he worked, and he said to his wife, he's going to work and come back. He worked 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, imagine. And finally, Erev Yom Kippur, the Gemara says, he tells his balabas, I'm going to go back. Could you please give me my wages for all the time that I was working? And the balabas says, I'm sorry, I can't give you. And here we're talking about a millionaire with fields, with everything. So he says, okay, if you don't have any cash, could you give me some paytas? Says, I'm sorry, I can't give you. Says, okay, could you give me some yirakas? So he says, I'm sorry, I cannot give you. So he says, could you give me karim uksuses? Give me some furniture. I'll sell it. Let me come home with something. He says, I'm sorry, I can't give you. We're talking about a millionaire that had acres and acres of land. And he tells Rabbi Akiva, after 3 years of working, I have no money. So Rabbi Akiva was devastated. He went home to his wife with no money. He went home the same way, exactly the same way he left his house. He left his house without any money. He came back home without any money. Right after Yontiv, because he was there Erev Yom Kippur, after Yontiv, the balabas comes with a whole chariot of cold tuv, food, barrels of oil, wine, wheat, a sack of gold, the worth of everything that he worked for 3 years, plus extra. So Rabbi Akiva says, what's this? He says, we'll talk later. Now let's have a Suda. So Rabbi Akiva opened up a Suda and gave him to eat. So then the balabas of Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Akiva, I want to ask you, when I told you, Erev Yom Kippur, when you wanted to go home, that I have no money for you, I want to know what you were thinking. What was it that you were thinking? Can you tell me what you had in mind? What was the reason that I did not give you this money? So listen to the answer of Rabbi Akiva, and that's what I would like to tie in with the limud of Avodah, which is in the heart. Rabbi Akiva answered, I imagined that you took all of your nechasim, all of your possessions, and you were makdish them for the Beis HaMikdash. We're talking about Hilchos Beis HaMikdash. A person is allowed to take his nechasim and say he wants to give all his nechasim to the Beis HaMikdash. And they all became hekdesh. And I imagined that you gave everything for tzedakah, and therefore you had nothing to give me. So the balabas said, I want to tell you that that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you why I did it. Because I have a son that's lazy, that's at home, that doesn't want to work, and he sees his father has nechasim. So because he doesn't want to work, his father has nechasim, he doesn't want to work. So I told my son, if you don't go to work, I'm giving everything to tzedakah like this, you're going to have to work. And I gave everything to tzedakah. And that day you came and you asked me that you wanted your salary. When I realized the avla that I did, that you worked for me and I wasn't able to pay you, I went to the chachamim, I went to the rabbanim, and I asked them that they should be mate neder. And once they were mate neder, I came with everything that I owe you and I brought it to you. Why am I saying this story? Because the natural reaction when somebody that you worked for 3 years tells you I have no money, and you see he has a bunch of fields and he has a beautiful home and furniture and he's living like a millionaire, and he tells you I have no money to pay you, the natural feeling is that this person is taking advantage of you and he's abusing you. But Rabbi Akiva, with his avoida, and that's the union of lev, what the Rambam says, the makriv karbanis, that's the ikar, to make a shros hashchina in the karbanis inside your lev. Rabbi Akiva was dan lekaf schus. And when you're dan lekaf schus, all of a sudden, all the doors open. And to be dan someone lekaf schus is also a segula for Ahavas Yisrael. And we all know that the reason why the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed was because of Sinas Chinam. So the reason why the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt will be from Ahavas Chinam. So maybe if there's another minute, I'd like to just, on the same idea of Dan Zayin, the Kav Schus, there was in Eretz Yisrael, a Maisa Shahaya, that there was a person that had a gold coin from Napoleon, that this gold coin was worth like $10,000. And he used to always keep it very high on top of this farm shank. And whenever the kids were saying, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for this? So the father would say, you know what? We could always use the coin for Napoleon. I'll sell it and I'll have $10,000 and we'll have a little bit of a fortune. One day, one of the little kids came from school. Mommy wasn't home. Tati wasn't home. And he wanted to buy some candies. And the little kids were talking, and they said, does anybody have any money? I want to buy some candies. And the kid said, no, I don't have any money. So the kid said, I remember Tati said that there's a gold coin on top. He goes and takes it and goes to the makolet, goes to the grocery store and gives the gold coin. And comes back with the candy. The father comes home, and the son says, Masich lefitume, I wanted a candy and there was no money in the house, so I took the gold coin. What did you do? You took the gold coin. You ran right away to the storekeeper, and he said, first of all, I'm very angry at you that you took the gold coin. But if you already took the gold coin, give him the change. What are you doing to taking advantage of a little boy? And the storekeeper says, Ich weiß nicht, was du willst von mir. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you want from me? This little boy gave me a shekel, and I gave him the candy. What gold coin? I never saw a gold coin. What are you talking about? Yes, no. They started screaming. They almost were fighting until people separated them. They went to the Rav. The Rav says, where's the Raya? What happened? A whole maisa in Shul, Min Chamayev, they're talking, this makolet, this grocery store is a ganef. He took from my son a gold coin, and Nebuch, the grocery store had to close because nobody would come to buy anymore by the grocery store. A couple of years later, this father receives a letter from another person altogether. We'll call him Ruvain. And he says, Es chataya ani maskir hayom. I want to tell you that my mortgage was behind 4 months. The mashkante, I didn't pay it. And I was walking on the street crying to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Rebbeinu Shalom, please send me a way that I could pay for my mortgage. They're going to take away my house. It's a true story that happened there in Israel. And at that time, your son was walking by with a gold coin. And I told him, come here, little boy. Let me give you a shekel and give me the gold coin. And the little boy doesn't know the difference. He said, okay. And I saved my house and I went back into business with that money. And Baruch Hashem, now I'm able to pay it back. And I want to tell you that that I was the one that took from your son the gold coin. And it wasn't the makolet, it wasn't the grocery store. Why am I saying this? Because the avoida of to be done, lekav schus, is avoida shebelev. You have to, in your heart, change your heart and be done what only the Kav Zchus. And there's a Chassidish word, Hevedanes, Kol ha'adam lekav zchus. When you take the whole person with everything that went in his life, and you think of everything that he did, how he brought it to what he is today, you'll see that what he is doing is something that you could forgive him for sure. The Eibishter will help him. We should be zoichet to the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi, and the Rebbe Malkeinu Bereshenu should take us out of this golus. Und Navino Malkeinu menam agefa menachal asecha, und also again Gesundheit und Freiheit Banenu, Bneisenu, Kohol Godel Yeshuva Heno.
Shkoyach of David Cohen for the shir that you gave us today with a lot of inspiring how to know how to build our own Beis Hamikdash. Just want to remind everybody that the Mitzvah Shem tomorrow the shir will be at the same time, the same station, and the Magid shir will be a Choshever guest. All the way comes from Russia. His name is Sholem Doiber.